Welcome back to Street Trash. This is the third episode of the new show where members of the horror community sound off about books, movies, TV show, music, video games, etc. And so you always know and never forget, this fucking show is from the street. Most disgusting horror cash grabs ever. Examples of cash grabs: grunge music, when everyone latched on to fucking bands that sounded like Nirvana or Pearl Jam. Or how about nu metal, when fucking every metal group was wearing fucking Adidas warm-ups, had fucking Liberty spikes, or any product that has the word extreme in front of it. And by disgusting, I don't mean fucking grotesque like Simon McCarty, dude. I mean shameful, fucked up bullshit where people fucking exploit a brand and then fucking ruin it for everyone forever. I don't mean to beat a dead horse here or kick someone while they're down, but I am going to do Freddy's Nightmares, the fucking horrible TV show. Have you no shame? Back in 1988, New Line Cinema wanted to wring out every single fucking cent they could from the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, and more importantly, Freddy. Like, you went everywhere, there were sweaters for sale, the gloves were for sale, the Freddy hat was for sale, and it was just all this big, mainstream Freddy mania. And they needed to suck everything out of it before that shit went fucking dark. When New Line saw how popular Tales from the Crypt was, and the Crypt Keeper is a host of an anthology series, they said, hey, wait a minute, why don't we do that exact same thing with Freddy Krueger? He's more recognizable than the Crypt Keeper, isn't he? There were 44 episodes and 2 seasons of this abortion called Freddy's Nightmares. And guess what? Only 8 of them followed canon, which means it followed Freddy's storyline. And beyond that, they went all in on Wacky Freddy, like all in on Sneaky Freddy. Like in one scene, I remember he had an electric guitar and he's like, "Rah! Rock and roll, Hoochie Choo." Shockingly, the pilot episode was directed by Tobe Hooper. Yes, that Tobe Hooper. Poltergeist and Texas Chainsaw fucking Massacre. In a better world than the one we live in, this is how that conversation would have gone down.
Hey, Toby, it's your old friend, Fred Krueger. Wanted to know if you wanted to do my new show, Freddy's Nightmares, on syndicated TV.
I don't know, Freddy. Let me, ask my mom. I can't come, Freddy. I have a piano lesson on that day.
I didn't know you played the piano.
I don't. That's why I need lessons. Fuck you, New Line, for exploiting Freddy and making him worse than he already fucking was.
Hey, Godless. Western horror author B.L. Blankenship here, talking about one of the biggest cash grab movies of all time. You know what the worst thing about Jaws 2 is? It followed Jaws 1. Jaws 1 is notably the best shark movie. Anytime that you go to see a shark movie, whatever it may be, can't name them all, not gonna try, you say, it ain't Jaws. Well, neither is Jaws 2. Steven Spielberg had this brilliant thing that he wanted to do. He wanted to make a fantastic movie after a fantastic movie. It didn't happen. Why? Because the company got greedy. Steven Spielberg's plan was to go ahead and to take the story that the sea captain goes ahead and tells about the soldiers that were ripped to pieces after a submarine attack by a bunch of tiger sharks. It would have been phenomenal, but that didn't happen. It ruined Steven Spielberg so much, hurt him so bad that he will not make a sequel, that he's not directly involved in Jaws 2, biggest cash grab of all time.
What's up, guys? Today we're talking about the most disgusting horror cash grabs ever. And for me, this one is very, very simple. It is Hostel 3, the worst Hostel movie, arguably the worst splatter movie, arguably the worst movie of all time, next to Human Centipede 3, of course. In Hostel 3, it's almost like the ending of Taken with Liam Neeson in that little bordello room where people are paying for these girls to do certain things, except in this case, they're paying to watch people get tortured. It is a stupid, stupid idea. It is way worse than Hostel 1 and 2, which were actually pretty clever movies. And Hostel 3, it's a straight up cash grab. Like, I don't know if Eli Roth just needed the money, so he sold the rights to use the Hostel franchise name, but God, it's just a stupid movie. In one scene, it's almost like Squid Games. We have these rich-ass people, hitting buttons saying, okay, here's what you're gonna do to this guy. You're gonna cut his face off while he's watching, and watch his horror and all this shit. Blah. And another scene, this girl gets covered in cockroaches, which you would think would be more disgusting than it was, but the only disgusting thing here is the lack of imagination. It was a bad movie, and I hope you never see it. Bye, everybody.
I would have to go with Resident Evil 6, simply because I feel like it really got away from what drew people to the games like the Resident Evil franchise and Silent Hill at the time, that survival horror aspect, where you don't always have a gun, you're not always armed. Sometimes it comes down to you hiding or running away, getting creative in different ways than were typical for video games at the time. But that game was really a clunky, glorified shooter, really, other than Leon's storyline was a little more in the vein of that what was classic to that series, the survival horror. So I would have to say that game would have been better as a spin-off or standalone and not marketed under the Resident Evil franchise just to make money, pretty much. I feel like the entire franchise could have done without it in tons of subsequent games too.
Hi, I'm John Shupeck, and for my entry, I'm gonna shove this straw into my urethra. My pick for the most disgusting cash grab ever is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Do your thing, cuz what? Cuz you suck balls and you have no idea what to do? The original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Tobe Hooper's Texas Chainsaw Massacre, was a classic. And then we just need to capitalize on that, and we need to make it bigger and better. It was great, the original, and you completely took it and shoved it down my asshole, and that's not a pretty place to be.
The biggest horror cash grabs. Alright, so let's set the scene. It's 2009, the height of zombie mania. In the early 2000s, zombies once again busted out of the graves, scared us with 28 Days Later. Then we had Land of the Dead and the Dawn of the Dead remake. By 2007, Max Brooks, Romero, Robert Rodriguez, they were all experimenting with new ways to tell the story of the dead waking up and eating the living. By the end of the decade, here in Pittsburgh, we've declared ourselves zombie capital of the world because we had the world's largest zombie gathering, and in 2009 we cared about stuff like that. So like any craze, we were in the bloated phase where everybody wants a piece. Zombies made money. In 2009, we were fully into the self-parody stage of zombie mania, as evidenced by that year's Zombieland. And it was also the year of Pride and Prejudice and zombies, starting the horde of thankfully short-lived trend to exhume a work from the public domain and resurrect its bloated corpse with the monster of the moment. So as I said, thankfully that trend was short-lived, so we didn't wind up with a zombie uprising during Plato's Symposium, or Beowulf swinging grunting to chop off zombie heads, or Romeo awakening from death and disemboweling a grieving Juliet. And yes, thankfully we didn't get Night of the Living Dead with more zombies. So yeah, Pride and Prejudice and zombies, the biggest cash grab in horror.
So what I think for something to be a cash grab would mean they would have to have one, at least, good movie. Amityville Horror, first one, meh. Second one, meh. The rest, fucking garbage.